deficit is the big game of the Wheel of Fortune. You know that one? They want to buy 3 vowels. I-O-U. That's not good enough.
Good evening. The battle lines drawn. The Republicans and Democrats begin the last leg of Election 92, taking more than a few jabs at each other along the way. The president firing up crowds down south and Bill Clinton igniting them in Ohio.
What we propose to do is to put the American people back to work by giving people more incentives to create new jobs here at home, but no more incentives to move our jobs overseas.
The Clinton-Gore bus tour heading through the Rust Belt stopped off in Ohio today. Jobs and the economy taking center stage as the Democratic ticket tries to stop any momentum gained by the Republicans at their convention this week. Vice President Dan Quayle, meanwhile, returns to the site where his rocky 1988 campaign first began, Huntington, Indiana. It was an angry scene on August 19th of 1988 when thousands of townspeople booed reporters for asking tough questions of the candidate. Today, Quayle was able to joke about it.
Well, you'll notice this time around there's a different crowd of reporters. The ones from 1988, they said they wouldn't come back unless they had police protection. And the police said no.
President Bush continues his swing through the South, drawing the biggest crowds of his campaign, more than 15,000 people in Woodstock, Georgia. He then moved on to Alabama, where he attacked Congress and promised to stand his ground.
If the Congress sends me any bill spending 1 penny more than I requested, I will veto it. Fast, right on the spot. Faster than the sales of Millie's book.
The latest political poll shows President Bush still has some catching up to do. Newsweek magazine's poll of voters taken after the Republican convention shows President Bush trailing Governor Clinton 39% to 53%. That's an increase for Bush of just 3 percentage points, although other polls show the race to be much tighter. Still, Bush has his supporters, and today hundreds of them waited in line in Derby, hoping to buy a ticket to Monday's presidential luncheon in Ansonia, part of a scheduled campaign stop in Connecticut. And Channel 3's Mika Brzezinski has the details.
Well, he's the president. He's our commander-in-chief.
Folks were out early in Ansonia, getting ready for the big event at Warsaw Park.
Read the tickets carefully. On the front there's information about the shuttle bus.
And in Derby, Bush tickets were selling fast.
I gotta go in now because I've waited so long. I don't wanna...
The line full of Bush supporters holding on, like the retired engineer who thinks Clinton can't cut it.
There's either two things. We're going to cut spending or we're going to increase taxes, and the Democrats are always for increasing taxes.
And the nurse who hopes Bush will stick to his word this time.
I think he's starting to listen, and by listening, he's going to work with the people, and that's all we need. If he's just going to make promises, anybody can do that.
And the Sikorsky worker who says Bush is better than nothing.
Tax cuts are, you know, a good political promise.
But isn't that what Bush is promising?
Yes.
Think it might be a gimmick?
Lesser of two evils, dear.
The host and MC of the big event says this is the Valley's chance to talk to the president one-on-one.
Looking at some of the economic conditions that confront us here, which I think are somewhat of a microcosm of the entire Northeast, again, it's an opportunity of a lifetime.
Some Bush supporters were here at 4 in the morning to get tickets to see the man they say can do the job, but a few skeptics say they need to hear more from the man who would be president again before he gets their vote.
I want to be convinced that trickled down wasn't tinkled on. So I have to hear more.
And longtime Ansonia business owners say they'll stay with Bush, but expect more for the Valley in the next 4 years.
My husband lost his job after working after more than 30 years. The shop moved out. That's what we need. We have to bring industry back here.
The tickets were gone in less than an hour, and many giving Bush a second chance hope his campaign promises will last longer. In Derby, Mika Brzezinski, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
A hurricane warning for the Bahamas and a hurricane watch for Florida's east coast as Hurricane Andrew bears down on the U.S. In towns and cities along the coast, residents began stocking up on food and other supplies in preparation of Andrew's arrival. The first hurricane of the Atlantic season reached hurricane force early this morning and is forecast to hit the Florida coast near West Palm Beach on Monday. Storm of a different kind continues to gather strength. In his first interview since the custody battle turned ugly, Woody Allen tells Time magazine there are no incestuous overtones to his much-publicized relationship with the adopted daughter of his ex-lover Mia Farrow. I am not Soon Yi's father or stepfather. I did not live with Mia, Allen told Time magazine. He also went on to say he only took nude pictures of Soon Yi Farrow because she asked him to. Middletown police are holding 2 teenagers in connection with last week's shooting of a 19-year-old Portland man, and more arrests are expected. Delmore Johnson was found shot to death in a Portland boarding house on August 13th. Under arrest are 16-year-old Jose Reyes of New Britain and 17-year-old Furman Adorno Jr. of Middletown. Both are charged with felony murder, first degree. In New Haven today, police arrested a 41-year-old New Haven man, charging him with shooting another man in Edgerton Park. Police say Donald Glover allegedly shot 34-year-old Frank Upshur while Upshur was sitting on a park bench with a friend. Glover is being held on $300,000 bond. Upshur is in serious but guarded condition tonight at Yale New Haven Hospital. Hot weather and hot tennis as quarterfinal play concludes today at the Volvo International in New Haven. Channel 3's Harvey Smilovitz has the latest and the greatest on some great action today, right, Harvey?
It sure was great. And, Jim, tonight you can call it a night of upsets at the Volvo. After Stefan Edberg and Ivan Lendl rolled in afternoon wins, defending champ Peter Korda was knocked out by Fabrice Santori in 3 sets tonight. Also, Malavai Washington shocked second seed Goran Ivanisevic in straight sets. Let's go to New Haven. Mal Washington in the near court, and this guy's had a history of upsets here. Yesterday surprising John McEnroe, and now wraps up his win over Goran Ivanisevic 6-4, 7-5, advancing to tomorrow's semifinals. Now, if you're heading to the tennis stadium tomorrow, here's your lineup. Stefan Edberg, who beat Guy Forget in 3 sets today, faces Ivan Lendl, a straight sets winner over Michael Chang. Then at 5 o'clock, it's the battle of the upset winners, Malavai Washington and Fabrice Santori. Now, later in sports, Eric McClendon will have a complete wrap-up of all the action at the Volvo International. Jim, let's go back to you.
Okay, Harvey, thanks a lot. There's much more ahead on the night beat. The airfare wars heat up again, and an Atlas rocket launch goes bad in Florida. We'll explain. And New Britain police are on the lookout for a bank robber. Details after the break, so don't go away. A new twist tonight to an old story. Northwest Airlines has just upped the ante in the airfare gamble. Northwest will offer coupons in tomorrow morning's papers, cutting fares by another $35 to $50 on domestic travel. This in addition to the promotion fare cuts already being offered by the major airlines. No word on whether the other lines, though, will match the coupons. On the Night Beat news line tonight, a rocket carrying a cable television satellite tumbled out of control shortly after liftoff today, forcing the Air Force to press the destruction button. It was the second launch failure in a little over a year for rocket maker General Dynamics. The satellite, in part, was going to help ESPN. Wildfires continue to consume hundreds of square miles in the west. A total of 6,700 firefighters are fighting 5 major blazes in California. 8,500 people have been evacuated since Thursday. California has sent out an urgent appeal to other states requesting extra firefighting equipment. New Britain police and the FBI tonight are looking for the man who robbed the Federal Savings and Loan on Farmington Avenue. Police say the robber, described as a white male in his mid-20s and wearing a blue shirt and dark pants, displayed a knife and demanded cash. Took about $2,000 and drove off in a 1982 white Oldsmobile. In Moscow today, several thousand people gathered outside the headquarters of the Russian parliament, celebrating the anniversary of the defeat of last year's attempted military coup. The crowds watched as Russia's star performers sang and spoke on the steps, where a year ago, thousands defended the parliament from hardliners trying to put an end to the democratic movement there. And in Connecticut, there's an anniversary of a different kind. Today is the 1-year anniversary of Connecticut's income tax. Excruciating budget sessions and weeks of protests culminating in a massive rally at the Capitol showed Connecticut's income tax foes wouldn't give up easy.